Hello all. In this lecture we will see about operators in C, and in this lecture we will see arithmetic operators. So to perform arithmetic and logical functions we have different types of operators in C. So an operator, it is a symbol that tells a compiler to perform specific mathematical or logical functions. So it is a symbol. It's a symbol and it tells the C compiler to perform some kind of operation. So we have arithmetic operators, relational operators, then logical operators, bitwise operators, assignment operators, and there are some miscellaneous operators. So these are the different operators in C. So in this lecture we will see arithmetic operators that can be used in programs. So first arithmetic operator is addition operator. In order to add we have this plus operator. Then subtract we have this minus operator. Then to multiply we have asterisk operator, this multiplication operator. Then divide we have this slash operator. Then modulus we have percentage operator. So all the first four you know what is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Now modulus operator, it is actually to find the remainder of a division. So if I give 5 mod 2, so mod is an operator, 5 and 2 we call it as operands. So operand and operator. So percentage is the operator and 5 and 2 are known as operands. So if we give this, then the result will be 1. That is 5 by 2, the remainder is 1. So we will get 1 here. So that's the use of this modulus operator. We can get the remainder. Then we have another operator, we call it as increment operator. If we want to increment a value of a variable by 1, we can increment a value by 1 if we simply say plus plus. For example, if we say number plus plus, it is equivalent to saying number equal to number plus 1. That is, number plus 1, number 1 will be added to number and it is a value of that number. Okay, 1 will be added to the value of that number and that value will be assigned to that number. So if the number is 5, then it will be 5 plus 1, 6, and number becomes 6. So that is a use of increment operator. And we have this is known as post increment operator. We have pre-increment operator also. Pre-increment operator is there. Both are same, but there's some slight difference between these two. We'll see with an example program. So plus plus number and number plus plus both can be used. Okay, this is post increment and this is pre-increment. Then similarly we have decrement operator. If we want to decrement a value by 1, it is possible. So number minus 1 minus minus is equivalent to number equal to number minus 1. That is, we will decrement by 1 and that value will be assigned to number. So if the number is 5, it will be 5 minus 1, 4, and that 4 value will be assigned to number. And we have pre-increment operator. This is post-increment and this is pre-increment operator. So these are the different arithmetic operators. So if a equal to 3 and b equal to 9, then plus it is a plus b becomes 12, minus a minus b becomes minus 6. So 3 minus 9 is minus 6. Then multiplication a into b, that is 3 into 9, it is 27. Division b by a, that is 9 by 3, it is 3. Then modulus operator. So here b is 9, 9 mod 3. So there is no remainder, it is 0. So the remainder is 0. So b mod a is 0. Then plus plus, if we say a plus plus, then the value becomes 4 because 3 plus 1 equal to 4. And minus minus, so a minus minus equal to, it becomes, if it is 3, then it becomes 2. So these are the different arithmetic operators. We will see some example programs and you will be able to understand this. Okay, I will take the an earlier program, we have this vim data.c is there. So I'll edit this program. So what I'm going to do is I'll take two numbers. Okay, I'll take two numbers as input. So I have to declare two numbers, number 1 and number 2. So these number we have to get as inputs from the user. Okay, now what I'm going to, I'll just remove this thing. I'll just remove this number. Then okay, now after that we have to get input from the user. So so we will ask the user to enter a number. So enter the first number. Okay, so we will get input from the number. So enter the first number. We will remove all this thing. Enter the first number. Okay, enter the first number, and if you want you can take it to the new line. And so for that what we have to do, enter the first number. We have to scanf. We have already seen the scanf statement. Since it is a integer number, we have to give %d and ampersand. So it will store that address location. The first number is number 1. Okay, so if you want you can get two numbers also here itself. So for that you can simply write enter two numbers like that. If you want you can do it here itself, enter two numbers. Okay, enter two numbers and you can scan it here itself. We have already seen how to get multiple inputs. So %d ampersand number 1 comma ampersand number 2. Okay, so we have got two numbers now. Now what we have to do is we have to add those numbers. Okay, add to those numbers. So for that what you have to do, let me remove this line. Okay, now we have to add those two numbers and we have to store it somewhere. So I have not declared any variable for sum, so I will declare another variable for sum also. Now I can use that sum here so that we can add sum equal to. So let me take a common variable so that we can store all the results. So if we want to do addition, subtraction, everything can be stored in a single variable. So I'll call it as some variable result. Let it be result. That will be better. So I'll use it small letters result. Okay, result. So I will use that same thing here, result equal to, now I'm going to add two numbers. So for that I have the first operand here and we have to give this operator and number 2. So number 1 and number 2 will be added and the result will be stored in result. Now I'll show we have to print that result. So sum is can be printed here. So I'll just remove this sum is, and the result is integer itself, so it is %d and we have to print result here. Okay, result. So we will get the result here. Now similarly we can perform other operations. We will simply copy this thing and I'll insert it here. Now for subtraction what you have to do is you have to make it a subtraction operator minus. Now you can change this to difference. Okay, difference is there is no change in result, we will get the result. Okay, Now after that we can perform a multiplication operator. Multiplication. So I'll copy the same thing here. So I'll change this operator to star. Okay. Now I'll change this thing also. Product. I'll call it as product is percentage d and the result is same. Okay. Now I have to do multiplication operator. So I'll copy it again. Now for that I have to use the slash operator. Okay, slash operator, number by number 2. Now here you can change it. You can say result or division, quotient. It is not quotient. You can have. So let me check. Okay, you can use it quotient as a result of division, whatever you want. Result of division is percentage d slash and result. Now we have consider the four operators. So this is okay. Now we will do a modulus operator also. So for that we have to replace this plus by mod operator. Okay, mod operator. I can give a space and all, it's not a problem. So what we will get is remainder. Remainder is percentage and the result is same. So by this you can, so we are getting two numbers as input, number 1 and number 2. We are doing performing this addition, then subtraction and multiplication, division and modulus operation. So we will save it and quit, and we will compile it. GCC data.c. Oh, there is a missing semicolon in every line of. Okay, so there is a missing semicolon. I missed semicolon everywhere. When I copied it didn't come. Okay, so there is a missing semicolon here. Then we have a missing semicolon here. We have a missing semicolon here. Okay, so now it is okay. So now I'll again compile it. So it is okay. Now it's correct. Now we'll run it. Dot slash a dot out. So we are asked to enter two numbers. I'll enter just two small numbers. Let it be 5 and 7. So here division. So sum is 5 plus 2, that is perfect. 5 minus 7, it gives minus 2. Then product 5 into 7 is 35. Result of division 5 by 7, it is 0. We won't get the fractional part because the result thing is an integer. So we will get only integer results. Then when we divide 5 by 7, the remainder is 7. So we can try other inputs also. If I want, I'll just give 7 and 5. Then it will be like this, 12 to 35, and then division 7 by 5. 7 by 5 is 1 only. You won't get 1.4 and all because it is integer division. Since we are storing in integer value, result is integer variable. So we'll get only 1 and the remainder it is 2. Okay. So in this way, so if you want, you can give some other number 2 and 2. Then here the remainder is 0. So this way we can perform this operations. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Now we will do another program to try for that a increment and decrement operator. So let me take the same program. I will edit the same program. So we will enter. Let it be two numbers. Okay. We need not have this result and all. We'll enter two numbers, number 1 and number 2. Then we will declare some other floating numbers also. Float number 3 and number 4. Okay, float number 4, and we are asked to enter two integer numbers first. So we will enter two integer numbers first. So it is stored in ampersand number, it is stored in number 1 and number 2. Then again we will copy these two things. Then after that we will ask the user to enter two floating point numbers. Okay, two floating point numbers. Floating numbers. So it should be number 2, sorry, number 3, and it should be number 4. So the user will be entering two integer numbers, then two floating point numbers. Now we want to show we need not have all these lines. Now I'll just delete all these things. I'll simply delete escape dd. So all these lines can be deleted. Okay. Now I'll just increment this. So I'll insert result of let it be, first we will do plus plus a. Okay, I'll just delete result of plus plus a is percentage d, and we can delete that result also. This is also not needed. So we are entering four numbers. Result of plus plus a is percentage d, and we will remove this thing. Instead we will add what we have to print is plus plus a. So you can store it somewhere, you can assign it somewhere, or else you can add it here itself. So what it does is it will change the value of number 1. So increment, it will increment the value of number 1. So whatever we enter, it will be incremented by 1, and the result will be displayed. Okay, result of plus plus, let it be number 1. Okay, number 1. So it will be displayed here. I'll copy the same line here. Sorry, I'll copy the same line. So cursor, okay, so I'll copy it again, and I'll change to number 2 here. It is number 2. So I'll decrement it. Okay, I'll decrement it. That's to show the decrement operator. Number 2 minus minus, I'll just change to minus minus, and we will decrement this thing. So minus minus number 2 will be decremented here. Okay, now I'll copy the same thing, same two lines here, and I'll copy it again, and here I'm going to increment the floating point numbers. So floating numbers are 3. So I'll delete this, then I'll delete this and make it 4. So we will be entering to floating point numbers, and we will see what happens to the increment and decrement operator. So I'll delete this, it is 3, and I'll delete this 4. So we are entering two integers and two floating point numbers. So number 3 and number 4 are floating point numbers, and we are trying to increment the integer number first. Then we are trying to decrement the integer number 2. Then we are trying to increment floating point number 3, and we are trying to decrement the floating number 4. Okay, so this program. So we will save it and quit, and we will run this program, compile it. Again there is some missing, there is some problem. Let me integer type. Okay. We have to change. I have not declared number 3 and number 4. I forgot to declare float. Number 3 and number 4 has been declared. Then what is the problem? It is number 1, number 2, number 3, number ampersand number 1. So here we have to get number 1. So yeah, I forgot this is percentage f. So we have to change the format. So it is percentage f. Okay, since we have to get uh, floating point numbers, we have to get percentage of. So number 3, number 4, and we have to change here also result. I forgot to change it when I copied. So we will change this thing. So it is percentage f. So these two are floating point numbers. Okay, so now we can save and quit. Now I'll compile it. Now it's perfect. Now we'll run it a dot out. So we are asked to enter two integer values. So you can enter any integer value. So I'm entering 21 and 34. Now I have to enter two floating point values. I'll enter 11.5 and 100.5. So if you see, when plus plus increment is done, it is 22. So 21 becomes 22. And 34, when we decrement, it becomes 33. So now we'll see the floating point numbers. It was initially 11.5. When we perform plus plus, it becomes 12.5. So it will be incremented by 1. And minus number 4, it becomes 99.5. Initially it was 100.5. Now it has become 99.5. So this is the use of increment and decrement operator. Now we will change a bit here. So we will simply change this plus plus number. I'll just change this. Okay, I'll just change this to number plus plus. We will see the difference. Now I have changed plus plus number to number plus plus. And similarly, I will change this to number minus minus. Instead of minus minus number, I am changing it to post increment. Okay. The previous one was pre-increment operator. So these two are pre-increment and these two are used as post increment. I'll save it. Need not worry about what is inside this printf plus plus. Let it be like it. Like it. So I'll again compile it. There are no errors. We will run it. Now we will enter two integer numbers. Now I will enter the same value 21 and 34. Now I will enter the same floating point values 11.5 and 100.5. Now we will see the result. So here initially it was 21, and even if it is even when we have given that post increment operator, the result is 21 itself. But when we perform the pre-increment, it has incremented to 22. And similarly for the decrement also, when we done this, when we use this post increment, 34 is not changed. It is 34 itself. But in the case of pre-increment, 11.5 has become 12.5 and it has become 99.5. So see the result, difference between these results. So it is 22 here, it is 21. There is no change here. So why this happens? So this is known as post increment operator. The other one was pre-increment. Here what happens is, when we give this result, when we use this printf statement, in this statement, first what it does is number one value. So initially when we gave 21, that value will be assigned to percentage d. Then after that only this increment will happen. Understand, this is post increment. So after assigning the value here, after giving the value, after printing the value will be changed to 22. So if I'll just check that So after that, what I am going to do is I am again going to print it. I'm just simply going to print number 1. So after print function, so I'm just simply printing it to show that the value has changed. The increment is happening, but even though increment is happening, the result is not shown here because it is post increment. So increment happens after assigning the value to this thing. Now I'm just printing number 1. I'm not incrementing, I'm just printing here. So I'm just printing the number 1 to see what happens to the value of it, whether it is actually doing that increment operation or not. So we will check that. Now I'll compile it and run it. Now I am again giving the same value. So we have given the values as 21 and 34. And floating point numbers, let it be any numbers, 11.5, 100.5. Now if you check here increment, so when we print in that statement, in that result, in that printf statement, increment is not happening. It was 21 and 21 is there. So after executing that print function, if we check the value of number 1, it has already changed to 22. So that is meant by post increment operator. So here also if you see it is 34 and nothing happens when we use the post increment operator, post decrement operator. It is post, after. Understand? That's the difference between pre increment and post increment. So initially when we use this post increment operator, the increment happens after giving this value to this print function. So percentage d, number 1 value will be assigned. After that only that increment happens. Similarly in decrement also, number 2 will be assigned, will be given, this percentage d will be replaced with number 2. After that number 2 will be incremented. So if I want, you can, if you want, you can simply copy this statement, and I will simply print the thing again after this statement. I'll just copy it here. So I'll print it and see again. I'll just print here number 2 and we'll see what happens here. Okay, I am just printing after printf function what happens to number 2. Okay, I'll save it and quit. Now I'll compile it and run it. Now I am entering the same numbers 21 and 34. Floating point, let it be anything, 12.5, 11.5. So if we check this thing, now here also in that print function that value is not changed, but after executing that print function the value has been changed. Number 1 value has been changed to 22. And similarly here in this function it is 34 itself, but after executing that print function that value has been changed to 33. So that is meant by, that's the difference between this post increment and pre increment. So this is post increment. So here sorry, this is pre increment. So pre increment means increment happens first. After that only that value will be given. Here also pre decrement means a value will be decremented first and then it will be given to this value. So here value will be given first, after that only increment happens. So you should understand the difference between this post increment and pre increment. Okay. So these are the examples for arithmetic operators. Now I have a few exercises. I have just given a few exercises. You have to do this. These are simple programs you have already seen. So you have to write a program to print hello world. You have to simply, that should be your first program. You should print this hello world. Then another program, we have already seen this program in the previous lecture. Write a program to input a character, print that character. So you have to get a character from the user, you have to print that character, and also you have to print that ASCII value of that character. Okay, so we have already seen this program in the last lecture. Then we have to write a program actually there is some error in this. So write a program to demonstrate the results. You leave this first few words. Write a program to demonstrate the results obtained by using the arithmetic operators addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division on integer data. Get inputs. The program we have seen. You can try that modulus operator also. Then write a program to demonstrate the results obtained by using the arithmetic operators on floating point number. So you have to write it as separate programs. So one program for integer operations, the another one for floating point operations. Then fifth exercise is write a program to demonstrate the results obtained by using the increment operators and on operands with pre and post effect. So the previous program we have seen how to you have to see by yourself. You have to check what is the difference between this pre-increment and post-increment operator. So another program, read the radius of a circle. You have to write a program. As I said, a radius of is red, then calculates its area and display it. Here you have to declare pi as a constant literal. So you have to declare it as a floating point literal. So you can either use hash define or you can use the const keyword and define that pi value like 3.14 some value and use it inside the program. Using this multiplication operator, you can simply multiply pi r square. So that's all. Thank you. So you try to do all these exercises. Thank you.